In this tutorial, we will be looking at the Quizzes tool in D2L and how to create a new quiz. To get started, click on New, and you need to give your quiz a name. We'll call this one Exam 1. You can give your quiz a category, or you can associate your quiz with a category. This is particularly helpful if you have a lot of quizzes in the quiz area. And to do so, you just click Add Category and then select from the drop-down menu. You can also associate your quiz with a grade item so that the score will automatically be input into the grades area. So you can drop your menu down and select the item from your gradebook that you want to associate it with. You need to have your gradebook set up before you do this though. And then you need to auto-export to grades. You also need to click Automatic Grade. If you don't associate your quiz with a grade item, you can also check automatic grade so that the student's quiz is graded immediately upon completion. Down here under Optional Advanced Properties, if you have hints associated with a question, check this box. If you want an email sent to you each time a student completes a quiz, put your email address in this area. Disable right-click. You'll want to check this if you want to disable students from right-clicking on the page and doing things like copying, also doing screenshots and that kind of stuff so that they can capture the quiz questions later. And then D2L has a pager. We have it turned off on our site, but if you have the pager enabled on your site, you will probably want to disable pager access so students can't send each other messages while they're taking the quiz. Keep in mind these are two things that you can do to help increase the academic honesty level in your quizzes, but they are by no means entire solutions to the issue. So there's just a couple things that you can do here. And that's all you need to worry about on this first tab, Properties. Next, you're going to want to go to Restrictions. Here, you need to set the status to Active so students can see the quiz. If it's set to Inactive, they won't even know it exists. You can have your quizzes be available all the time, or you can have them start on a certain date. I'm going to have this one start on Thursday at 12:01 a.m. And then I'm going to have it end on Friday at 11:59 p.m. So I'm giving them 48 hours essentially to complete it. We're going to skip additional release conditions and optional advanced restrictions and move right down to timing. Here's where you're going to set the time limit. I'm going to give my students 20 minutes to take this exam. If I want to make the time limit enforced, I need to check enforced, and I also want to display the clock to the students. I have to give a grace period of at least a minute, so technically they now have 21 minutes to complete the quiz. And then there's a couple options you have for setting your late submissions. I recommend just always going with Allow Normal Submission. Basically, if they exceed the 21-minute time limit here, they can still submit their quiz as normal, but you, as the instructor, will be informed in the list of attempts whether or not the student submitted on time, and then you can decide at that point if you want to take points off for something late. You can otherwise set a late limit if you want it to be automated, so if you have a late limit, let's say you're going to give them 5 more minutes, so that's like 26 minutes. So if they get to the point of 26 minutes here, then once they've exceeded that late limit, their score will automatically be entered as a 0. Finally, auto-submit attempt. Once they've gone past 21 minutes, what will happen is D2L will automatically submit their attempt. I like this first one because it gives the instructor the most flexibility, and then you're not going to have students calling and saying, I tried to submit my exam, it was a little bit late, can I please get in and try again? That way you don't have to deal with any of that stuff. And in some cases there's legitimate issues like technology failure, and so instead of having to go back and deal with all that later, it's just best to go with a low normal submission. And then down here, advanced availability, you can assign special access. So let's say a student is going to need extra time. I'm going to add a little special access to show you how this works. So let's say that I have a user, Andy, here. I'm going to check his name. And up here, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to let him have actually 30 minutes because he has a documented disability and needs a little extra time. And then Carl here, okay, so I'm going to add that one. Then I'm going to add another one. This time I'm going to say that Carl is going to be gone, and he asked me if he could take it a day early. So I'll open it for him on, I'm going to open it up for him today, and I'm going to open it up for him tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. because he wanted to have a little bit of a head start so he could have it done by the time he leaves town. Tomorrow at noon. Alright. And I'll add selected. Okay, so now I gave Andy Anderson I gave him 30 minutes, and then I opened up the quiz a little early for Carl because he's going out of town. So if you want to give your students a little bit of flexibility here or accommodate for documented disabilities, you're going to use the advanced availability to set that up. Alright, next tab is attempts. D2L defaults to give students one attempt and grade the highest attempt. You can change it and allow students to have one up to unlimited number of attempts when they take the quizzes, and then you can also specify how you want the attempt or attempts to be graded. We don't have to worry about anything in activities. Submission views. D2L defaults to show as soon as a student is done, they don't see anything other than their score. So they would see that they got a 90% on the exam. If you want to show them which questions they got wrong or any additional feedback, you can click on the Add Additional View button. And then I'm going to call this View Feedback. And what I can do is I can either set it up so as soon as they finish taking their quiz or exam, they'll see the feedback, or I can set it to release once everyone's taken it. So I know everybody will be done by Saturday, so I'm going to set it up so that the feedback will release on Saturday. And then I'm going to say yes, I'm going to show questions, and I'm only going to show them the questions they answered incorrectly, and I'll show them the answers so that they can see which ones they got wrong and what the actual answer was. And then that's all I'm going to set for this, so I'm going to save the view. And now you see I have my default view that shows nothing once they finish their quiz. And then down here on Saturday morning, once the exam period is ended, then they can see which questions they answered incorrectly as well as the correct answer. The next tab is report setup. We're not going to worry about that right now. And then the final and really the most important tab is layout questions. Here's where we add our questions. So you click Add Edit Questions, and then you can either manually enter your questions, or if you have questions already added into the question library, you can import them. So we're going to say Import from the question library, and I'm going to grab from the Exam 1 folder, and here I have a bunch of questions already added. I'm going to check all and hit Save. And now if I go back to Quiz Layout and Questions, here are all the questions I have on my exam. I can edit the values, so I think this question should be worth 2 points, and this one's worth 4 points, and this one's worth 5 points. And then I hit Save, and I can also place X number of questions per page, so I'm going to say I want to put 5 questions per page. And then D2L puts the breaks in automatically. I can prevent moving backwards through the pages, that's up to you, how you want to set that. I'm going to leave that unchecked. And I'm going to hit Save Quiz. And now if I go back to my quiz list, I can see that I have an exam set up. This key tells me that special access has been given to one or more students. And remember, we did that for Andy and Carl. And here's the exam period when it will be available for students. I can edit my exam at any time before it opens up. Once it opens, I really recommend caution when going in and editing. Note that if you did screw up and you put in the correct answer was supposed to be A for a question and really it was supposed to be B, we can go back through and make adjustments and reallocate points based on what truly was the correct answer. So that is how you create new quizzes, and the next tutorial will be how to grade quizzes.